Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back, you guys. Uh, I know I look real orangey. Welcome back to the Lit Lane Jury Box here on Trial Watch with Demetra. And we are currently watching the Bird Pile trial. I know. Y'all, I'm looking crazy by the head. I just woke up. But the only reason I'm coming up or popping on camera is to let y'all see my new makeup. But my new makeup looks like my old makeup, except it's better makeup, you know? I was like, it's so pretty in my eyebrows. Y'all can tell my makeup is different because of my eyebrows. Because y'all know I do my 90s eyebrows myself with the square right here and going over. Y'all be here tonight. Hey, Miss Step 219. Hey, Pretty Eyes Channy. Hey, BH Sage. Hey, M. Renee and Trial Watchers. Hey, Living. Hey, Unbothered for real. Good evening. Welcome back, you guys, to the Lane Jury Box. Hey, Kurt Vixen. Don't forget to hit that like, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like. It's a lot going on. Baby, if it's a lot going on, I've missed it. Thank you, Living. It looked good. Thank you. I had to actually thank you. Hey, winner. I had to order. I went to Sephora, but then when I got home, I ordered my makeup. So I ordered the makeup. Hey, Foot Soldier, I ordered the makeup. So it'd be here before Monday. I like it, you know. And then I said to myself, I say, Demetra, you act like you somebody who don't wear everything. When I do my makeup, I go full throttle, right? So it's not like going from a girl who don't wear makeup to going to get my makeup done, and all of a sudden I got makeup. You know, I got the Fenty. I got the Fenty foundation number 390. The Too Faced concealer, the Laura Mercier setting powder, and one more thing. And a setting spray, all size or one size or something like that. The can like an aerosol, kind of like one size setting spray. That's what I got. And then I'll fill it in because I already got eyeshadows, all that kind of stuff, you know. So I loved it. I love my little eyebrows, girl. I don't know if I'll be ever able to do this again. Yeah, one size. The setting spray. You think of some good choices? If y'all new to this channel, I don't normally be on here talking about makeup. Okay, I went got myself a new makeup makeover done. Shout out to Samia. You know, she my little cousin-in-law, my little niece-in-law. I think that's what make her. And so I told everybody I would come show it. I love it. You know, the biggest thing about it is because I do my face full makeup, right? But the best thing about it is like really how it just really looks on my skin. On my skin, it really lays smooth and pretty and it feels lighter. It just feels better. So yeah. You guys, let me show y'all. You got a lot going on. Dang, I shouldn't have put all this stuff on here. But this my chili. This is why I came on at 7:30, y'all. I got chili, cheese, and sour cream, and rice and everything. I made my son some chili. We about to mess that up for the next couple of days. I think I'm gonna be in not living in Love and Love chili contest. I think I might. I thought I would, so I'm gonna have to. But you guys, before we get started, hey OG Woo, y'all. Before we get started, let me tell y'all a couple of things. One, They came and they went to deliberations, and they made a verdict on the forgetful grandmother trial today. Okay, so tomorrow morning, and I think, oh, y'all don't hold me to it, but I'm really gonna try. Hey, Lady T, I'm gonna really try to get here for 10, because if I was to do from 10 and then 3 or 4 hours, for the court watch, that's a good time in the daytime, and it's enough time in between for me to do whatever I gotta do, chill, do whatever, and come back at 7. So try for 10. But they already went to verdict on that case. Now, I shared with you guys on the wall, I shared with y'all a trial that started today. They call it the Ponzi trial, the Ponzi scheme trial, the Ponzi wife trial, something like that. And that trial, it's gonna be so interesting. I watched the opening statements today of the Ponzi wife trial, and baby, that trial already, it has money. Hundreds of millions of dollars are stolen from the people from all over the country in a Ponzi scheme. They hadn't came yet, they hadn't came yet. They got affairs, which is sex. They got poison, right? They got a little foreign lawyer. Okay, I don't know where they got the what type of accent the lawyer got, but he's a trip. So that's gonna be the next case where we start after we finish the grandmother case this week. So we got Scott on the stand. We finna get into this. Scott last night is the brother that Melody actually accused of. Okay, Shannon. Okay. Yeah, I tried to do. Okay. Scott is actually the brother that's being like the reasonable doubt scapegoat. They're trying to make it seem like he the one who did it. Melody is the one. It did turn around to him after the sentencing and say, Scott, you killed your father. Okay, he is the younger brother. He's on the stand. He seemed to be more likable. He seemed to not be a lie like that. Living says, I dropped you a link. Nazaria cousin says she was molested too. Molested too molested by Shannon? Okay. Yeah, get your plate and get comfortable, baby. Cause we finna get all up in this with Scott, and we finna get into we should be getting into the weekend of the 4th. Okay. They just leading them up, got the background information, his relationship with the family. He actually calls his mom Melody. At least Chris called him mom. He calls her Melody. Okay. So we're finna jump into that and continue with Trial Watch with Demetra. Please hit the like. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Let me see. I got it ready. I wish I wouldn't have fell asleep. It was so fresh. I had my lipstick on. I fell asleep. Now let me get off the camera.
See this photograph here of Thrasher 72?
Oh, yes, yep, that's exactly where we left off. Hold on. Nope. We was like 1 minute in front of that.
The later part of she was constantly going up to Tennessee, and then I would be the one that would either have to fix dinner or go get us something to eat.
When your dad would come home in the house, you've got in Purcell, 2155.
Thank you.
If I said what floor in the house would be his domain where he would hang out, which one would that be?
No, it'd be the basement.
And if he wanted to get something to eat, how would he get in the house? He didn't go anywhere, and the defendant would actually, your mother would cook him.
We heard this last what?
How would he do that? Would he?
He'll come up to the kitchen and eat it at the kitchen island.
Would he eat upstairs?
Yes, sir.
He wouldn't take it back downstairs and eat, or he'd eat.
The only thing he would have taken downstairs to eat was dessert, key lime pie.
He liked dessert?
Oh, he loved his key lime pie.
So he'd come upstairs, eat dinner?
Yes.
If you were sitting in the kitchen, where in the kitchen would he sit? I know there was a table kind of outside of it, but where in the kitchen would he sit and eat?
So in the kitchen, we had a very large island. And there was 3 or 4 bar stools, and he would sit at one of those bar stools.
See this photograph here of Thrasher 72?
Yes, sir.
You were in this photograph, or is it a different one?
No, it's so yeah, right there where your mouse is, that's where he would sit and eat dinner.
How would he, when he'd come up and just sit down, would he eat with other people, eat by himself? What would he do?
Well, there was nobody else there. It was only.
If the defendant was fixing dinner or anything, would she eat with him, or he
No.
eat by himself?
He would be eating by himself.
Would you eat with him at all, or would you be doing something on your own?
I would.
They didn't
if I
even eat
was-
together.
If I came over there to cook him dinner or get food, I would go down to the basement and eat in front of the TV. My dad loved to read. So he would read while he ate dinner.
What kind of things would he read when he's eating dinner? Leisure stuff, not law stuff, or would it be work?
No, it would be, history books or, war books or whatever book he was reading at the time. We had a library or office in the house, and there was a lot of books in there, and that's what, I do know a lot of his books were in there that he's read.
When he was done eating, would he go back downstairs or stay up on the first level?
He would pretty much go back downstairs.
What would he do when you go back downstairs?
He would go into his office and probably check emails and stuff and have, cigarettes and just, kind of finish up the day for work.
Judge, do you mind if we can take a break right this moment, if that's okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, we'll take
Hey, y'all gonna take a break already?
15.
Let me see. All right. Magic of television.
And we'll stick to the 15 if I say that.
Hold on, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Now, mind you, I have not seen Scott's testimony. I have watched up through the daughter-in-law. Oh, it's not on play.
Would he sleep? Would he lock his door?
No.
I think I typed in the chat. The husband sounded like he was kind of lonely. She didn't eat dinner with him.
TV.
I think y'all asked last night. Somebody asked last night, well, why would he still be using the bathroom, like using the upstairs bathroom that they shared? Like I said, that's probably like the only thing they did share. Because everything else was separate. Okay, here we go.
Check his email.
Yeah.
Check his email.
Okay, we just start from right there. This is actually this was on day 4. They so big. Now this is going to be coming towards the end of this trial date. And so it come back on, well, we're going to be here tonight, but the next day, right? It continue his testimony. Let's see if he wear the same clothes like his brother did.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Please report stuff. Remind you.
Right, the husband had affairs, but I don't think his affairs was as long lasting.
We're talking about your dad's habits.
Or, I don't know. But he had them.
Talking about your dad would check his emails. Is that something he would do constantly? Because they always check work emails and things like that.
Yes, sir.
Vacations, it didn't matter with your dad working.
Oh, yes.
When he would go downstairs, so eat dinner, go upstairs, eat dinner, come back downstairs, work a little bit. Did he ever go into that movie theater room or the home theater room?
It was either there or the other TV down in the basement. He would sit and watch TV.
What kind of shows and things would he watch? Was it random stuff, YouTube, or something else? What would he do?
Either the History Channel or he liked old TV shows like old westerns and Andy Griffith, MASH. Those are the shows. And I know he liked the TV show The Office. He liked watching that as well too.
And would he be kind of by himself when he would do that?
Yes.
Now, where did you live on the property?
I lived above the barn in an apartment.
Okay, so not in the house
No.
with your mom and dad. After was it pretty much this is his routine? Every night he comes home, dinner, go downstairs, work a little bit, go watch TV, go to bed?
Pretty much. The only time that it would change would be, on a Friday, he would come home and start doing some kind of project, doing some kind of work on the farm.
And where would he sleep?
He slept in the bedroom down in the basement.
Every night?
Yes, sir.
Would he sleep? Would he lock his door?
No, he would not.
When your mom, where would she sleep?
She would have slept in the master bedroom.
Would she ever use something to brace or lock her door?
I didn't see her do it, but I saw one sitting behind the door of the bedroom.
Saw what was it? Describe for the jury.
If I remember right, it was kind of like a prop bar. It had a flat surface on one side and kind of a fork on the other. It was white, I want to say, but it was, you put it up under the door handle.
The doorknob itself?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a state-of-the-art version of propping a chair up underneath it for keeping somebody from opening the door.
How would your dad sleep? What kind of clothing?
He always slept naked.
Sorry?
He always slept naked in the nude.
That's just what he did?
Yeah.
I believe your dad was about, is it 58 at the time of his death?
Yes, sir.
Was your mom about the same age?
Yes.
I believe they've been together for 38 years.
Mhm.
I want to talk to you about your mom. I think I understand, but you've referred to her as Melody. Do you not call her mom anymore
No.
because of this?
Yes.
Now, up to this point, though, until this occurred, did you get along with your mom?
We had our good days and bad days. We did a lot of stuff together because my dad was at the office, and whenever she was home, she liked to decorate the house, and I did a lot of the projects there at the farm. Like I did the backsplash on the bar down in the basement, and finished out the so-called wine cellar. And she would always be, decorating or wanting to paint something. And so we would do a lot of stuff like that together, and go and get, go to Scottsdale Farms and buy plants to plant out around.
Did your mom graduate from college? Do you know?
As far as I'm aware, no, she did not.
Was she smart? Is she smart?
Not like my dad, but she's not dumb.
Common sense?
Oh, yes.
She hardworking? She work outside?
Oh, yes, man. All the time we worked in the yard.
She hands-on?
Yes.
Would she get in there and do projects with y'all or with you?
It depends on what project. She didn't help my dad and I do the stone wall between the house and the pond, but she got out there and planted plants and, shoveled mulch around.
Did she get her hands dirty?
Yes.
Could she get things done if she wanted to?
Yes.
Would you consider her strong-willed or weak-willed?
Strong-willed.
Does she have opinions?
Oh, yes.
Is she afraid or shy to share those opinions?
No.
Would she have opinions about you?
Yeah, I'm sure.
About her other children?
Oh, definitely. Chris, she kind of favored Emily and definitely Amanda.
How about your dad?
My dad was harder on my brother and I. He was a sucker for my sisters. You know, there is baby girls. My dad was old school. He, you know, I remember growing up, if I needed $5, I needed to tell him 5 reasons why I needed it. So,
Is that just how he was?
yeah, he tried to just, you know, instill discipline in us, make us, you know, a good person, a better person.
Did your dad like things like extravagant things, or what was his taste in? What kind of things did he like? If you said my daddy really liked fill in the blank, what would it be?
It's kind of tough. I mean, he always wanted to take care of other people first. He always put everybody else first. He made sure Melody had what she would want to have, and all of us. I mean, he always made it a point to make sure, you know, we all had the best Christmas as possible. And he wasn't really, you know, he drove a Suburban. He drove it until over 200,000 miles. And it was me who convinced him, go buy yourself a Mercedes. I mean, you deserve it. I mean, he wasn't a flashy person. So it's kind of hard to say.
What kind of Mercedes did he have?
It was an E-Class.
Tell me what that means. I don't know what that means.
E-Class is kind of your mid-size sedan. He looked at the S-Class, which is the big, fully sized Mercedes, and he was just like, it's just too much car. I don't need that.
How much of those cars cost that he had?
Well, his, I mean, brand new, that was, at that time, probably would have been maybe $60,000, $70,000 car.
What kind of car did your mom have?
Well, she drove Infiniti G35 for the longest time, and then she drove the Toyota Sequoia.
What kind of car or vehicle did you have
At which point I've had,
around the time your dad's death?
I was driving the so-called farm truck, which was a Chevy 2500 diesel, non-dually. It was just a regular back axle. That we didn't have the wide tire ones.
That was your dad's truck. You purchased it.
Yeah, he purchased it, and it was titled for a farm truck for tax write-off, but it was I drove that vehicle.
The vehicle / the work truck.
Yes.
If I said, what kind of things does your mom like around the time of your death, or the death of your father? Just fill in the blank. What things did she like? What were her things?
What do you mean, and what she liked?
She have expensive things like furniture. What was her things that she really?
Everything she had was like top of the line, Tory Burch or Chanel, or all high end clothing. It was.
She liked Christmas trees.
Oh yes.
Around Christmas time, would she decorate the house?
Yes, she would.
Tell the jury how she would decorate the house and how many Christmas trees y'all have.
What? 1, 2, 3. There was about 4 or 5 Christmas trees. She did all the inside stuff. She was very good at it. I will say the Christmas trees we had were something you would see in like a Southern Living magazine. She liked to collect the Christopher Racco ornaments, which is a very sought after ornament because they're hand blown, hand painted.
Say that again. I didn't catch that.
They're called Christopher Racco ornaments.
Okay. Take it, they're expensive.
All right, VA says, don't get them lit up.
$10 a piece to several $100s a piece. It just depends because he changed his ornaments every year. That's why they were collectors.
She do things like that?
Oh yeah, she very enjoyed it very much.
Did she have parties for the law office or go to parties for the law office?
I remember, when I was in like middle school and maybe early parts of high school, my dad would have confirmed Christmas parties at the house. So there would be a lot of people over there. And that kind of ended before I graduated high school.
Did your dad take care of your mom when it comes to things that he provide nice things for?
All the time, yes.
Like, did she have fur coats, mink coats, whatever you call it? Did she have nice clothing?
Yes.
Did she have nice jewelry?
Yes.
Did she had nice dishes and things like that in the house?
Yes.
Clothing?
Yes.
She liked to shop?
Oh, yes.
Did you give her money so she could shop?
Yes. Well, she had, pretty much our entire life, she always had full access to the bank account. It was just the last 2 or 3 years prior to his death that it got restricted.
Oh my goodness. Hold.
Things kind of.
Pause. Okay. Number one, why he's so whiny? Why he sound so jealous? That's his wife. But that's not why I paused it. Okay. I paused it because right now, up until this point, like last night, we heard like kind of small, subtle, I would say subtle differences in between what he said and what Chris said. But this is a huge difference, right? And the reason I say it's a huge difference is because, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but Chris insinuated that the way they banked and Melody's access to the money changed years before. And that it changed because of like a affair that she had years ago. But now Scott is saying just in the last couple of years. Is it just me or do y'all catch that big difference? Let me know.
How would you describe at the time of your father's death? How would you describe their marriage to each other?
Not good.
Why so?
Because she was constantly disappearing, taking off, spending an abundance of money. Said she was going to do one thing, and that's not what she was going to do. And they were constantly arguing with each other. Never out in public. It was always at the house. But
Did your dad ever hit her?
no,
Lay a finger on her?
no.
Was he a screamer, yeller, cusser? What was your dad like when they would argue?
I wouldn't really say it's screaming, but I mean, he raised his voice, but he never was screaming so hard that someone would lose their voice. He was never like that.
And what was she like?
Oh, she screamed. She definitely, expressed her feelings in a way, I guess I would say.
What do you mean?
She definitely would scream and cuss and, show aggression.
Who is Ted Wiley?
Ted used to date my Aunt Sherry, which was my dad's sister.
I think your dad has how many brothers and sisters? Or had, I'm sorry.
My dad has an older sister, Patricia, then my dad, and then my Uncle John and my Aunt Sherry.
So what was Ted related? How was he related or involved with the family? So Sherry.
Ted was dating Sherry.
And what time was this? And about how old were you when this was going on?
If I remember right, they started dating roughly maybe when Amanda was born. So they were together for a very long time. Pretty much all of ours.
How many years do you think they were together? You're talking about 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever?
Oh, Yeah, definitely north of 15, I would say.
And did you see him often?
Every Christmas and Thanksgiving.
And at some point, did you notice something, or did you learn of something going on between him and your mom?
Yes. So when my grandmother, Melody's mother, Kay Walker, when she had a heart attack and had to have open heart surgery, I basically went with her and I helped stay with my grandmother in the hospital, especially when she was in the ICU.
When was this? What year are we talking about?
This is 2005 or 6. So, I was up there for quite a period of time. I ended up, quitting my job at Regal Nissan to, help out, with this situation because my dad was still, working and.
So how long a time would your mom and you be separated from your dad?
We would stay up there for several weeks. It depends on what condition my grandmother was in and all. But for the beginning of it, we pretty much did not leave from being up there. It's once she got out of, the ICU and got moved into a more private room, that's when we kind of, didn't have to be up there as much.
So this is taking care of your mother's mom,
Yes.
maternal mother, grandmother,
Yes.
and the defendant was there to help her mom, and you were with her.
Yes.
How did Ted come into the picture?
So, Sherry and Ted, they live there in Muscle Shoals, Florence area and all. So, whenever we would go out to eat, we a lot of times went to eat with them. We always went to Logan Roadhouse or somewhere like that. And then after a couple months, I remember the night we went to Logan's Roadhouse and Ted came up and grabbed my mother's rear end like somebody would be doing who's in a relationship, like a full-blown relationship. And that right there triggered. And from there on, she started disappearing. She would leave, say, "Oh, I'm going to run to the store," and not come back until either very, very early in the morning or till the next day and leave me stranded with no vehicle.
Did you talk about this to your brothers and sisters? Did they know, or just you?
I think I've probably told Chris. Don't really remember if I told Emily or Amanda. I did get my dad. I told him, I was like, she keeps running off of Ted. And, they keep going and doing things together and leaving me stranded at the hospital or the house with no vehicle.
Would your dad help take care of your mother's mom, your grandmother, her mom? Would your dad do anything financially or anything to help her?
If I remember, I know he kind of helped. I want to say my grandparents had like a mortgage on the house for some kind of project, something with the foundation or something. I think he kind of took control of paying for that. I don't know if it was my grandmother's money or his money, but he kind of, took controls of the, finance side of the mortgage.
Did you ever know anything about a $50,000 home equity loan or something like that involving Ted Wiley?
No.
Did your parents, because of Ted or anything, did they ever separate or have an issue that you saw?
From what I remembered, it was by this time I was in the process of joining the Army. I went through basic training and I was deployed to Iraq within 4 months of coming out of basic training. So I was over in El Paso, Texas, not here. And I do remember I deployed and I remember getting an email from my dad and he, stated that he was going to be filing for divorce. I responded with, "Do what you got to do, but I really don't want to be, I don't need to know anything else. I got too much going on over here."
And that was over Ted?
Yes.
What year was that?
That either had to be 2009 or 2010. So I was deployed to Iraq.
And after you got that email, did your dad ever say anything else to you about what was going on?
No, sir.
Did he fall through any more on the divorce, or was that the last you heard about that?
That was the last I ever heard about it.
And then you came home?
Yes.
Just at this time, I'm considering to Evans S. Farris number 10. I don't think there's an objection to it.
No objection.
I submit.
Scott, you should have in front of you a mantra. Is it working?
Not
Yes, sir.
that Columbia woman.
This is State's Exhibit S. Ferris 10. We're taking your name and using numbers with that. But can you tell us what, at the top, it has an email there. Can you read that email for us?
The Gary4250@gmail.com.
And what is the company that sent this?
That would be from Bank of America.
And if you could just read out loud what it says.
Hi, Gary. Credit transaction was made above your chosen alert limit. Amount $165.82. Credit card, Bank of America, Visa, Platinum Plus, ending in 1727. Where at Scottsdale Farms and Company, Alpharetta, Georgia. Type retail. Transaction date July 1st, 2018.
Did your dad have several credit cards and things like that?
Yes, he did.
Did he have the ability that he would get notice if anything was, I think, over $20 or something like that?
As far as I'm aware, any kind of transactions, he would get some kind of notification.
And if he was notified, would he ever ask you about what you're doing with the money or what was going on?
Yes.
How quick would he be on that? Like if he got a notice, how quickly could you get a phone call or text message?
It varied. It could be within 5 minutes, or it could have been later on that evening.
Now, this one in particular, do you know what that card was or who had it?
I presume that might have been the one my dad had. I'm not 100% because there was several different credit cards.
Now, your dad controlled the finances in the family. Is that right?
Yes.
If you would just tell the jury when it came to your finances, what type of access to a debit card, a credit card, whether it's personal or for the farm work, tell the jury what you would have.
So I would either have, beginning off, I would, get his debit card. I'll get it for him to go buy horse feed or, fertilizer or anything like that. And then he wound up giving me a credit card that I kept all the time. And that's, a lot of purchases were made doing that. I do know at one point he gave me a debit card, and that was, I don't know if it was his main account. I don't think it was, because he would constantly have to put money into it. So if I, needed to go get food or fertilizer or something like that, a lot of times there wasn't enough money in it, and I would have to send him a text saying, hey, put some money in it in the account so I could go and buy this and this and this.
And would he do anything to, would he ever get on you about your spending?
Every once in a while. So I worked for my dad. When I got released from the military, I got back into selling cars for a little while. And then I worked at a warehouse. And then by the time we lived on the farm, we realized it was kind of a full-time job and also I kind of maintained it. And we had an agreement because I lost my job at the warehouse and, we sat and talked and he's like, well, look, this property is a lot of work and everything like that. So, I'll give you a credit card, and you're able to go and, have lunch and stuff like that and all. But, if anytime I really want to go buy myself something, which I never really did, I'll let them know, or so-called, hey, is it okay if I go buy this?
Pause. Why in the Sam hell world, why would you, as a grown man, I can understand saying, okay, I'm gonna be the land manager. I'm gonna be the property manager. I'm gonna be King Dingaling Ranch hand, right? All of that makes sense. It's feasible. But even though it's the mother and father's ranch, wouldn't as a grown adult, if you work for your parents, wouldn't you go about setting a certain set salary, a certain pay? This is almost like he's describing an allowance.
Let me ask you about. Let's go and talk about your work you did on the property. 2155 Purcell Lane. That's a hobby farm.
Yeah, I would say.
Were y'all looking at several places before your dad bought that?
We looked at a couple of different properties. Some we just didn't like at all. It got down to this property and one other property. I do know.
What was the difference between this one and the other one?
This one had a lot more land. The other one sat on I wouldn't call it a lake, very large pond. And it was on the back side of it. And, when we looked at it, the cove was pretty dried up. And so it wasn't much of a lake. So,
So who wanted in the family, including all your brothers and sisters, who won the one at the lake, if you would, and the farm that you moved into? Who was up for what? Let's start with Amanda. Which one did Amanda want?
I don't think she ever saw it.
How about Emily?
I don't think she ever saw it either, too. And neither did Chris.
Which one did you want?
I went with my mom and dad to look at the properties.
What, did you have a favorite out of the last two?
The one, yeah, I like the one that he ended up purchasing more.
How about between your mom and dad? Did they like one over the other?
I mean, realistically, I think it would say a coin toss in a way. I mean, I gave my points. I was like, look, you got a lot more stuff you can do, on this property versus the other one.
So when you end up your dad going after and buying the farm, what year was that?
Around 2013.
And how old were you at that time?
Oh, you're gonna make me do math.
I am. I'm not very good at myself, so we'll figure it out together.
Had it been around 30, maybe.
Well, let's see. Was it 35 when your father?
Yes.
You're about to turn 36?
I just turned that July 7th. I would have been
35. Okay, so that was 2018 for 5 years, so around 30.
Mm-hmm.
And so, did you live so you were working and living on the property about 5 years?
Yes. From the time they purchased it to the time of his death, I lived there.
And Scott, I'm not trying to be insulting. I don't know any other way to really ask it, but what I want you to tell the jury, and what I'm interested in is what kind of contract I imagine it's just word, just a spoken agreement, but did you get an allowance? Did you get a stipend? Did you get a salary? How did you make a living and buy stuff? And what was the arrangement between you and your father while you worked the property?
There was no contract or anything like that. It was basically, so around the time that, the recession was kind of starting to turn. When I first got out of the military, I tried to join Milton Police Force. Couldn't, since I was not post certified. They didn't have the funds to hire me on. And once I started looking into other cities and counties, it was all the same thing. So work was still hard to find, like decent paying. So, and the job I had at the warehouse, I was making $10 an hour. And once I got, I was let go from that job, we sat down and talked, and I was like, look, I want to still pursue, law enforcement, but there's nothing I can get into right now. And that's when we came on the agreement that, I would manage the farm, because since he was working Monday through Friday in Atlanta, that, basically he would give me a credit card, debit card, and, I was able to go eat lunch and stuff like that and pay my cell phone bill. I didn't have much bills at all. So he never really gave me an allowance, except for the time that, he decided to open
boom allowance.
And, he didn't keep a lot of money in it, because around that time, Melody kept asking for the card I had and going off and buying stuff.
Did your dad want her to have that card?
No, especially the credit card. When he gave me the credit card, I remember he sent me a text saying, hold on to this like your life depended on it or something. But
to keep it away from the defendant?
Yes. He basically said, don't give this card to anybody.
Which credit card would that have been?
I believe that was the Ducks Unlimited Visa card.
When you work the land, there were horses and animals and things, pigs, goats, chickens. Y'all had all kinds of stuff on there, didn't you?
Yeah, we had everything pretty much except for cattle.
All right, now, your first house, now your mom's background, her father and mother had Ace Hardware or some type of hardware store.
Ace Hardware, yes, sir.
So more of kind of a country background or a rural background?
No, Muscle Shoals it wasn't a huge town, but it was.
From the country or from the city is usually how I ask people. Would you say your mom was from the country or from the city?
Man, honestly, I want to kind of say in between, but it was.
Fair enough.
No, there was no,
How about your dad?
Not country.
Did they grow up having horses and things like that and animals?
No, none of us ever had that.
So when they got this hobby farm, did any of y'all know anything about horses and how to take care of them and ride them?
No, we did not.
Was it a learning experience?
Yes.
How many horses did y'all have on the property? Where'd you get them from?
We had 4 horses. The first horse we got was Rebel. Some people down the road, they were moving. He was an older horse. They gave him to us along with a pony, but the pony was already promised to somebody else. So we just kind of took care of it for a little while until that person was able to come and get it. And then we got Bluebell, Chester, and Blackjack, the other 3 horses. And that was, we purchased them through a friend of the neighbors, Jackie. She lived down the hill from the farm.
Jackie has some type of place for donkeys or something like that, or rescue, or
at the time she had a buttload of chickens, all kinds of fancy little hen ones and pigeons and big chickens. She had a whole bunch of chickens.
Was her house stand out in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, you had to pass it every single time you came to the farm.
And was Jackie close to your mom?
She hung out with her quite a bit.
Now, these horses, who would ride the horses?
I would, my mom would, my nieces, my dad once in a blue moon.
Did he get thrown from a horse or anything?
He did get thrown one time. He got on Chester. Chester was a more high-spirited horse. And what I mean by high-spirited, that, you know, if a squirrel jumped from branch to branch, he would jump. He would get startled. So it took a more experienced rider to ride him. But my dad wanted to ride him. And I was nervous about it. And sure enough, when he got on him, he started bucking and bucked my dad off.
Did he get hurt?
He did. He hit his head when he came down, and we ended up taking him to the hospital to get a CT scan because my medical training from the Army, I, noticed that he wasn't answering all the questions right that I was asking him, and
Got his bell rung.
yeah, he definitely.
How about your mom? Did your mom ride the horses?
She did.
She ever get hurt by the horse?
There was one day, it was first day of college football, and my Aunt Sherry was on her way into town, and I was up in my apartment about to start watching football. I think the Alabama game was about to start, and she called me and said, "Get down here. I just got kicked by a horse." And I go down there, and she got kicked in the leg, and her kneecap was on the side of her leg.
What year was that?
I want to say 2016.
Did she ride the horses after that?
When she was finally able to, yes. I think I remember her getting on. I don't really remember, but I know my dad didn't get back on the horse after he got bucked off.
When it came to taking care of the animals, part of your, duty or job that you would do, how many animals, what was your routine every day for the animals? What time did you have to feed them? What did you have to do?
I would wake up in the morning, and depends on, a lot of times we left the horses out in the pasture. But if I knew there was bad weather coming or it got more winter time and all, that's when I would start bringing them in the barn. So I will wake up, we had a whole bunch of goats. I would feed the goats, make sure everybody had water, feed, and just kind of along those lines. And then I would start, blowing off driveways and stuff like that, keeping the place looking nice.
How long would it take to, you feed them how many times a day? Or what were your routine?
About twice a day. So in the morning, it depends on the animals. So the horses, they would get a little bit of feed in the morning and then some in the evening. Same with the goats. They would get feed in the morning and feed in the afternoon and be grazing out in the pastures.
How much interaction would your dad have when it came to taking care of the horses or the animals or anything?
He didn't. I do not ever remember my dad feeding animals.
How about your mom?
She would do the chickens up by the house, occasionally come up and feed the chickens and all. But no, it was not on a regular basis.
About the goats?
I don't ever remember her feeding goats.
Did y'all have to bottle feed the goats at all or anything at times?
Oh yeah, we did. I mean, we had a lot of baby goats that are born. Not all goats are going to accept their babies. Some of them reject them. And, lo and behold, a lot of times, when a goat gives birth, they can pass away from it. It's just like humans. There's a lot of life and death on a farm. You're always having something born and you're always having something die.
And did you ever have to dispose of any animals, dead bodies, or anything like that?
A lot of chickens, they get sick very easily, or a fox will come and kill them, ducks as well too. We've had some goats that pass away. They either get sick or, first group of goats we had, we bought them from somebody that was, their parents, I believe, passed away or something, and we bought all the goats they had. That was our first goats.
Would you ever burn goats?
No,
Did you ever throw them on the burn pile?
no,
That's not something you would do.
no. I would bury them.
Where would you bury them on the property?
Majority of the time, the goat pen, because that was the softest, easiest ground to dig. Because the goat pen was one of the previous owners built a very large retaining wall and filled it in. From what I was told, there was a lion in that. So,
I'm sorry?
a lion. I don't know if it was
Like lion, tigers, and bear on my lion?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of lion, but the neighbors told us at some point there was a lion in
And that's
that
where
cage.
the ghosts were at.
So that, it turned out to be a perfect goat pen because it had a high fence, barbed wire coming out, had a metal.
Where is that? If I was looking at your house, where would that be?
It would have been right behind the barn. Backside of the barn along the property edge.
Let me pause it right there. Let me see, engage if y'all if y'all agree or can see this maybe as a possibility. With Dad being the one, the matriarch, right? And the one who's spending all the money, the one that's outside the house working, it would be easy for me to picture or to imagine or even assume that the mother had the job of all the discipline. The mother had the job of being the one who was the one who had to say no, the one, the bad guy. I can see very easily in this type of dynamic, whereas the mom maybe played the role of the bad guy a lot, right? And the dad got a chance to be the good guy all the time, always the Santa Claus, Hey, Sean P, always the hero, the successful lawyer, the one to look up to, and mom just sitting around, I don't know, but for some reason, it's giving me that. Welcome back to the Dream Box, Sean. Glad to see you.
This is aerial 3. This is the house here. Where, I'll take the cursor of the hand
You need to go up to the barn.
to the barn, all right?
To the barn. Okay, now go to the left. Now go straight up. Right there would have been the goat pen.
Okay, so behind the barn.
Yes.
Did the horses get out a lot?
Every once in a while they would.
Now, when I say get out, that's what, in this case, you're talking about the horses get out. We're going to be talking about that. What does that mean to you? If the horses got out, what would that mean?
They were not in a pasture. That's
Were
a
they-
soft pasture.
Were they running on Purcell Lane up the road and things like that?
Sometimes, yes, they would get actually off the property and be at a neighbor's house. I've had to go all the way to the very back end of Purcell to get a couple horses.
And when they would get out, what would you have to do to get them back in?
I would just grab a feed bucket, put some feed in it, and walk down and start shaking it, and they'd follow me like little puppy dogs.
How often would that happen?
It was rare,
Do you know
but
why?
it did happen.
Do you know how or why they would get out?
99% of the time, it was because somebody left the gate open.
And when it came to all the horses and things on the property, was there a certain pattern, like they would be put up at night, or were they just left out in the fields?
The horses, like I said earlier, it depend on weather, temperature, and everything like that. Goats were put up every single night. Chickens always went back into their chicken coop at night. So the door had to be closed on that. So the main animals I always had to be
Good
put
one,
on,
Lady
the goats,
T.
the chickens,
Good one.
and obviously Luke and Leroy, the labs.
Would you do anything different around 4th of July when fireworks are coming out or anything for the horses, or like on the 3rd? Did y'all do anything different on July 3rd for the horses?
We always left them out because, yeah, they will get scared from fireworks, but it's always safer to leave a horse out in a pasture than in a stall because they would jump around and everything like that, and you don't want a horse getting hurt. So they would be left outside. So if they got scared, they had room to run. But if they were in a stall, they would, jump and hit their head or something on the stall walls.
Did you like the animals?
I loved them.
Was that something, a passion you enjoyed, or?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, the horses were like dogs to me. I mean, I took care of them all the time. I mean, horses do have personalities just like dogs.
Do you miss them?
I do.
So this time I'm tuning into evidence, Stacy's exhibits S. Farris 1 through 4.
No objection.
Next, dude. I'm gonna look at some stuff and ask some questions.
Okay.
You can't hear that, brothers. This is S. Ferris 1. We have some photographs from the property. There were some drone photographs and things like that. But as we look at this photograph here, tell the jury what we're looking at. Now, this is taken at a different time after the July 5th, I believe, but just tell us, what are we looking at?
So we were looking at the bottom section of the house, the basement. This would have been below the big half circle deck. Those double doors right there would have gone right into the basement with
Boom.
the leather chairs and the TV and
Boom. I could have
behind
just
that
waited
would have been the bar.
10 more
Are they
minutes and
sliding
take a
doors
picture.
here?
Yes,
And our French doors over here.
yes.
Are these doors, the doors that slide, what is behind this?
There would have been the leather couch, couple chairs, coffee table, and
It's where your
TV.
dad would hang out.
I think so
Yes.
too, Steph.
That's where I would go. If I ate over there, that's where I would go down and sit and watch TV and eat dinner.
If I open these doors and walked in, would I run into the bar, the kitchen bar area?
Once you pass the couch.
Yeah, assume the couches are not obstructing my walk. If I walk in, when I walk before the bar, if I turn right, am I going to come down hallway to your dad's office?
Yes, that's where the hallway was.
If I go and turn left, I go down hallway to your dad's bedroom.
Yes,
If I walk a little bit further, I can go to left and go up the steps. Is that
yes.
right? This is S. Ferris 2. Looking, you see the officers, this is when it took some drone photos, but looking here, what I'm going to try to help orient is over in this area where the burn pile is. Can you tell the jury kind of where the burn pile is in relation to the kind of the corner of the house?
So from the corner of the house,
Let me do it this way. So this is S2, S3, and S4. This is the burn pile area looking back. Is this a view of it?
I would kind of say the burn pile's more over on this side.
And you can
Like,
check
so if I was
right.
the cameraman, I feel like it would have been a little bit more to the right.
But in this area,
Yes.
describe for the jury, if you would, if you're walking from the house going out towards the burn pile, are you going uphill or downhill?
You're going to be going downhill.
And is your property, is the house on the crown of the top of the hill for the most part?
Pretty much, yes.
Now, behind this, going back to 3, this tree line back here,
Mhm.
did you have any trail cameras or anything on?
Yes, it was actually further south, further down the hill
Let's
from the
just see
burn
about
pile.
the
Going towards
cameras.
the pond that way?
No, this was on the back side. There's the fence where your mouse is. That's about roughly where the fence line is, the property line.
Okay.
And there was a little trail that goes all the way down to the bottom corner
So back in the woods.
So it was down that way. I had it set up on a tree pointing towards my neighbor's property.
Look at the jury and tell them what you would do with that trail camera and what you did back there.
So my neighbor, Ray, he allowed me to deer hunt on his property right there on the hillside, because all the deer would come either running from our property to his, or they will come from that way. So I just had a better angle of, hunting deer.
How many deer did you harvest from that hunting spot?
Somewhere between, I want to say 6 or 7 deer.
And what would you hunt with?
I would use the first deer I took was with a 20 gauge slug, using a shotgun. And then the second deer I took, I borrowed a friend's AR-15 and took that deer. And then the rest were with a 12 gauge shotgun slug. Which direction did the trail camera point? It pointed towards my neighbor's property.
All right. In relation to the burn pit, where's the trail camera relation at?
So if I'm leaned up against the tree that I have the trail camera on, the house would have been to that direction. So the trail cam would have been pointing to you. The house would have been to my left up the hill.
Let's see if I can figure out which one. Is it in this area? Is it another? Do I need to?
Yeah, it's nowhere.
All right. Which way with the mouse pointer should I go where the trail camera is?
Go right. So give or take some yardage, but it'll be, kind of right there pointing, north in this picture. So yes, that way.
So in this area on aerial 9 is where the trail camera would be?
Yes, somewhere in that vicinity.
And then the camera itself is pointing this direction. So left, straight, or right?
Straight.
Straight. Not pointing back to the burn pit?
No.
Not pointing back to the house?
No.
And did you put that trail camera up?
Yes, I did.
How did you look at the pictures and things on that?
At the time, I had like a little SD card thing that I'm able to connect to my cell phone, and it pulled up. I believe at the time I had an app that I was able to use to pull it up. Over the years, I was just able to, click on a,
Do you remember what brand it was or what trail camera was?
No, I do not remember.
Is it one of those where you could just sit in the house at night and you get a ding on your phone and tells you ding?
At that time, no.
You have that now?
I do have one like that now that sends it to my cell phone, but I haven't used it in years.
I want to ask you something about fires. Does your dad and your family like fires, burning fires? Did your grandfather or something burn fires?
Well, always growing up, my grandfather burned leaves, and I remember every Christmas after we all opened presents and all, my grandfather would collect up all the wrapping paper and go take it out on his burn pile and light it. And
was there a fire? Tell us about the first fire at the first house in Alpharetta back in I think around 2008.
Maybe, yeah. I really don't remember the date on it.
What happened? Just tell us what happened there.
So I remember that night. I remember waking up and fire trucks being out in front of the house, but it was the weekend prior. My dad burned some branches and stuff like that, and some old grass clippings or something like that. It was a little pile back there.
In the backyard or in the woods behind the garden?
In the woods behind the fence. So it was, not right up on the house. He burned the stuff, and he, I guess, presumed that he had it put out. Well, it went an entire week. Nothing happened. And then I think it was like the following week or that weekend, I remember waking up and fire trucks being out there.
How big of a fire was it?
It was not no roaring fire. It was like a very, very low to the ground, like small brush fire.
How close were the houses in this neighborhood?
there, between each house, there was at least, 50 to 80 feet, maybe roughly. There weren't like the cookie cutter style houses where you could put your hand on one house and on the other.
How did your mother feel about this fire?
Really don't remember.
Okay. Let's go to another fire your dad. So your dad said that one wasn't intentional, though, I guess, the fire.
No.
The second fire, I guess, wasn't intentional at the 2155 Purcell, the farm. He caught the house on fire there too, didn't he?
The basement?
Yeah.
Yes.
In 2016, I think is when that happened.
Yes. So
Tell the
Thank you
jury
for
what
the
happened.
1999 Super Sticker Living. I appreciate that. Thank you.
it comes to find out. So my dad put a cigarette out in the ashtray, and I guess he dumped the ashtray a little too soon into the trash can. But I was up at the barn doing work. He left to go somewhere. I don't know where he went to. But I was up at the barn, and Melody calls me, and she goes, "Do you smell smoke?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Well, do you see smoke out there?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, I'm smelling smoke." Well, I'll look over to the house. I see smoke pouring out of the basement, my dad's office door. I go, "Holy crap, there's something on fire over there." So I run over there. I open the door, and all I see
Thank
is
you for the Cash App as well.
So I grab it, throw it outside, grab the water hose.
This
This
thing
is in
Jerry
his
box.
office, or
Yes, it was in the office. So, I put it out. I go and I check the walls. I didn't see anything burning. I put my hand on the wall, didn't feel hot. I looked at the closet that was in the office that had all the controls for the home audio throughout the house. I opened that up, didn't see anything. So I went upstairs and made me a sandwich, and I came back down and was sitting in that room with leather chairs and all, watching TV, eating lunch, and all of a sudden the fire alarm started going off again. I go back to the office and I open the closet door, and it's just a wall of fire. And I scream for her to call 911, and I run out. I grab the water hose and I'm spraying. I'm punching the wall, trying to get holes in it so I can stick the hose in it. And then next thing I know, 2 deputies show up, and I look at them. They're like, "Sir, is this your house?" I'm like, "It's my parents' house." "Yep, yeah. Wow. Do you have a baton or anything?" They're like, "No." So I continue to, spray water and punch holes. And then the fire department showed up, and,
Welcome back to Wobble.
the firefighter told me, he's like,
Apparently the father, but always on an accident.
how bad of a damage was done to the house?
There was more smoke damage than actual fire damage. So the fire was mainly contained to that closet. So all the electronics burned up. It was an unfinished closet, so there was a lot of, wood.
Was your house like a smart house, had technology?
A good amount. It wasn't like what today's standards would be,
But that was destroyed or damaged.
all the components, the audio components.
That
yes.
part, OG.
We had exposed rafters, so the fire could have spread down to the home theater if I did not put it out in time.
How did your mom react to that fire?
She was pissed.
Did she get on your dad?
I didn't see her get onto it, but knowing her, yeah, she probably chewed his ass out.
Was she concerned with your dad when it came to fires?
Yeah, we both were, because he would start a he would start a fire to burn branches and stuff like that. He would stay around it for a little while, but then walk off to go check emails or do something.
So no common sense when it came to fires.
No, yeah, man. There was a lot of times that I'm like, "Why are you burning right now with the winds blowing like this?" He wouldn't think about, the
Did y'all
aspect.
leave him alone with fires?
I mean, I wouldn't stand there and hold his hand while he was burning stuff. No, but
Did you have concerns with him in fires though?
I mean, I always told him, it's like, don't burn a fire when it's, the winds are gusting up to, 15 miles per hour. And
Did he take hoses and things down there, or would he just let
not really, not over there. He would he would clear off around the fire so nothing was spread out. But I don't ever really remember him dragging a hose all the way down there.
Your mom and you kind of had a joke about you hoped your dad was having a spell so he wouldn't tear anything up.
I mean,
Was your dad able to tear stuff up and y'all would have to fix it?
yeah, my dad would start projects and I would end up having to finish them. That would either because, he had to go do something for work or, he had to go back to work. He would.
Would you and your mother joke about him having spells, hoping that maybe he's having a spell so he's not going to mess it, get in anything, and y'all could have an easy day?
I don't remember really, but yeah, that could be, a possibility that would have happened. When he started a project, he would do some pretty big projects.
Would you describe your parents' marriage as living married but living separate lives?
Towards the last, 2 years before his death, maybe, but for the longest time I remember, my mom and dad have always slept in different bedrooms because of my dad's sleep habits. He snored a lot. He had to sleep with a CPAP machine. I remember them, they officially kind of slept in different bedrooms after one night. My dad liked to, toss and turn a lot, and he ended up, flipping over, and his hand went flying over, and it hit her in the face and broke her tooth. So he wasn't a very, steady sleeper he wasn't out cold. He talked in his sleep, he snored, he slept with a CPAP machine, kicked, jerked.
So they slept on separate floors?
Even at the old house in Hampton Hall, she would sleep down in the guest bedroom area. My dad would sleep in the master. And
so how many years were they having this sleep in separate places?
For quite a while.
10
like
years?
I said, after, that happened, they kind of stopped sleeping in the same bed.
10, 15 years? How long?
I would probably say that, yeah. It's before I want to say since I was kind of in high school.
Your dad had, how many CPAP machines did you know your dad had?
I only knew he only had one CPAP machine.
How many did you see?
He got new ones every so often, but
At the time of his death, how many CPAPs did you see that your father had?
he only had one.
Now, you and your dad, fair to say, like other fathers and sons, y'all have disagreements and argue about stuff at times?
Oh, yes.
And did your dad have disagreements with your mom about finances, especially after Ted Wiley and things like that?
Yes. When I came back from Iraq and about the time I got out of the Army, it seemed like everything was normal. They decided to put the house up for sale and go buy the farm. It seemed like a normal marriage. And then a few years after moving back into the farm, that's when she started disappearing again, and then the trouble started back.
Just this time I'm moving to evidence, S. Ferris number 6. It's a cell bright extraction between Scott and his dad.
No objection.
I submit.
Put it up on the screen. You'll hear those. I'll take those from you.
Can't wait till the defense get his butt. But you never know what he gonna say. That's why I'm just letting it play through.
Scott, I want to turn your attention now to page 6. number 18. It's on the screen there. You can't see that.
Yes.
Now this is, you see number 18. I kind of with your dad's numbers, your mom's
I
numbers.
had to
everybody's
read that
numbers. Look at the
twice,
last
Winner.
four numbers
You
there.
crazy.
9032, your dad's cell phone number. Do you see that?
Yes, I did.
So it's a message from him to you, your 2667. Can you tell us what the date that was?
Timestamp says 10/20/2017 at 9:13
a.m.?
a.m. Yes.
All right. So it's an incoming. So it's from your dad to you. And this is, I think it's your extraction from your phone.
Mm-hmm.
What was the message? Can you read the body of the message he sent you? Read that into the record for us, please.
So you have my credit card? Question mark.
Oh, Lord,
Then you
here we go.
reply to that in number 19. What was your response?
Yes.
And then number 20, from your dad to you at October 20th, 2017 at 9:14 a.m. After you say you have it, what is his response to you?
Hang on to it as if your life depended on it.
Do you know why he would send you that message?
To me, that was do not give this credit card to anybody.
Including your mom?
Yes.
Witness
Was there-
protection now.
Up to a point in your parents' marriage, did things, you said you thought everything was going all right at the time. But was there ever a time that did you ever see your mother get upset with your dad?
Quite a few times.
Would she outwardly manifest her anger or upsetness with her husband?
I mean, yeah, she would talk, she would talk trash about my dad to me, to my sisters, my brother. I mean, yeah.
I want to talk to you about an incident. So July 5th, 2019 is when you found your dad remains.
Said 2019.
2018.
Okay.
Go back, I think a couple, you tell us, was there an incident with seeing your mom break a plate?
Yes. I've tried my best to remember the exact date. I know it was prior to his death. It wasn't really, I don't want to say it was several months, but it was within a few weeks or so. We were working on the project between the house and the pond, the big stone walls and everything. And I remember I was either planting some plants or doing mulch or something. My dad was on the other side of the property, and she came out of my dad's office doors and screaming and cussing, and she threw a plate up against the wall of the house, and she screamed, "I can't wait till the day he fucking dies. I can't wait till the day I don't have to live with him anymore."
Not the
How close
F-bomb.
were you to this when she did?
I was within 10 yards.
How far was your dad away?
He was over 100 yards away.
Do you know if he heard it or saw it?
I know he didn't. He never said anything to me that he noticed it, and I don't remember seeing him. So I knew he was up on the other side of the property.
So she walks out, and where does she throw the plate?
So if you walked out of those French doors, there was a wall right there, and right next to it would have been the hot tub. It was up against that wall, right?
How bad was what kind of plate was it, and how bad was it broken?
Well, I mean, if only plate like that would
Exactly,
have been
Tracy.
used was just the white kitchen plates. We had like two different sizes. We had like a bigger set and then a smaller set, but they looked the same.
Did you confront her or say anything to her about that?
No, I don't remember saying anything to her about that.
You know
It
what she
sounded
was
like he left a
upset
plate
about,
in the basement. Shit.
If I remember right, him leaving the plate in the home theater room.
See,
And it was probably
I
a
told
plate
y'all.
that he probably had some kind of dessert, key lime pie on. So he would occasionally leave them out.
I knew it. I knew for her to come out that house and throw a plate against the side of the house. I knew it. I knew he had to have left that plate, a dirty plate, somewhere downstairs. She don't want that nice big fine house to get no damn wood roaches. Hell, where they was living at, it wouldn't even attract roaches. It'd get all kind of raccoons and possums and who knows what else. She was tired of having to go downstairs, get that whole can, a big old bag full of Mountain Dews, insect bringing. And then to find out he leaving dirty pie plates all around downstairs. Then he got the downstairs probably smelled like smoke. Well, she got to light up candles. I'm getting pretty sick of him too. Okay.
Mountain Dew can or a plate
I just
in
said
the
that.
home theater, and her being, she cleaned a lot. She liked to keep a clean house. So stuff like that.
so how mad was she when she did this?
Like I said, she came out yelling and cussing and threw it as hard as she could up against the wall, and it shattered into several pieces.
I guess she didn't
Your
have to
associate's
wash
talking
it
about
then.
your dad.
Oh, yes.
She ever say anything like that any other time that you witnessed?
That I witnessed? No, I don't really remember, no. She always, talked bad about my dad. It's like she always tried to brainwash us, like he was, such a horrible person. But no, other than that, I never heard her really ever saying, I can't wait for the day he's dead.
I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to get into the third, fourth, and fifth. This is,
Yeah, let's go.
just to refresh the memory, this is.
Don't forget his friend came yesterday and gave him an alibi.
So third, fourth, and fifth, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up to those dates, do you know whether or not your mom, the defendant, was upset about a trip that Chris would use some money, your dad's money, to rent a condo or something for a beach trip?
I do remember, so they all planned to go down to the beach. I remember her making comments to me that, she wasn't happy about it.
Did she ever complain to you about Chris's spending or using money?
I took everything with a grain of salt from that she said about money.
Did she talk about money often?
What do you mean to talk about,
People using money or spending money or things like that.
She always tried to say, Chris is stealing money, or, your father's paying for this and that and this.
She tell you to get a job or anything like that?
Whenever she would get pissed off about something. But then, an hour later, she'd be like, oh, let's go and do this.
Did she ever say anything or do anything because around July 3rd, July 4th, with Chris and the money he was spending to go on the beach trip? Did you ever see her say or take any actions because of that, or confront your father or anybody else because of it?
I didn't see anything. I know she wasn't happy about it because, I don't really remember exactly why she was not happy about it. I remember her asking if I was going, and I remember my dad asking me if I wanted to go, and I said no, because you know, somebody's got to stay here and take care of the animals.
Was your dad going to go?
Yes, he was planning on going.
How about your mom?
No, she was not. And the reason why I said I didn't want to go is I said to him, I was like, well, somebody's got to take care of the animals because I'm sure she's going to run off and go to Tennessee.
Oh, snitch. Oh, boy, messy.
Up to this point, you said your mom would kind of just disappear or during the week. How often would that occur? If you took it week by week, how often was that happening?
For quite a period of time, it was just at least once a week she would disappear. It always seemed like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or somewhere, you know, in the middle of the week, it seemed like. And then a lot of times she would just send me a text saying, hey, I got to go up to Martha James. I got to take her to the doctor. And she wouldn't be back until the following week. Or
how consistent was this where she would go week per week?
For a while, for the last year and a half.
Up to the week of July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. When was the last time you remember her just leaving?
I mean, that probably would have been the week before, maybe.
So it was up to the week before?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was always had an excuse to go. You know, Martha Jane had to go to this doctor.
And she would be gone. Would she just take day trips or the other?
Sometimes it will be a day or two. Sometimes she would be gone, you know, 4 or 5 days.
Around this time, did you ever see your mom with more than one cell phone?
Oh, yes.
Tell the jury about that, please.
I noticed that she had 2 cell phones when she'll be on the phone talking and I walk into the house and her cell phone is laying on the counter. And then a lot of times I kept, you know, I'll walk around the corner and she would grab her phone and tuck it into her waistband. So I knew she had 2 cell phones. And I told my dad she had 2 cell phones.
Did she
Oh
use the
my
phone out
God.
and open, or where was she using
No,
it?
she tried to hide it from me. I do know that.
Did you ever see her on it?
Well, like I said, that one time I saw her on the phone, but yet I walk in and her phone's laying on the kitchen island.
Did she ever, where would she keep that other phone?
I have no clue.
Did you ever see her on her person or anywhere on her body?
Like I said, there was many occasions where I walk, you know, into a room or around the corner and she would move swiftly and tuck it into her pocket or waistband, depending on what she was wearing.
On July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I want to go through that on July. I think July 2nd, which is was that Monday. Did you go play golf that day?
On the 2nd, no.
Do you remember if you went and played golf and then with your friend and then went to a restaurant afterwards? Were you playing golf that week? It was one.
I mean, I played a lot of golf during that time because Hampton Hall, it was fairly cheap to play. There was only 20 something bucks, I believe it was, to play Twilight golf. So we played a lot of golf.
Let's go to July 3rd, that Tuesday. Did you work at the house that day with your mom?
Yes. So the morning of the July 3rd, it was either the day before or 2 days before we went to Scottsdale Farms and bought some bushes to plant on the back side of the house, so the opposite side of the pond, some holly bushes.
So this is the day before July 4th. Did y'all go to Cherokee Ranch restaurant for lunch?
We always went there.
Who did you go with?
It would depend. If my dad was home, him and I would go. If he was at the office,
Well, on
Melody.
July 3rd, did you go with your mom?
So on the morning of July 3rd, yeah, I went over there with, you know, we drove separate because I was leaving from there to go up to the lake house with all my friends.
And did you see your dad at Cherokee Ranch?
Yes, I did.
But y'all weren't together?
No, he was already there when I came in, and he was sitting. As soon as you walked in the door, there was a booth, only a one-sided booth, so only either one person or 2 people could sit there, and that's where he sat. So, you know, I ended up sitting at a different table.
Did he walk out without talking to y'all?
I ended up. He was still there when I left.
You don't know whether or not your dad walked out or paid and left before you and Melody?
If I remember right, no, he was still there when I left, because I left, I drove up there separate from Melody. She was in her car, I was in the truck, and they both knew I was going up to the lake house.
And then what did y'all do after that?
So we ate and I left and I went to the lake house.
Where did she go?
I have no clue.
Whose lake house did you go to?
Nancy Pierce, it was her lake house, which is basically my second family. I've been friends with them for over 10 years now.
What time did you go up to the lake?
It would have been, around 12, 1 o'clock time frame, lunchtime.
And how long were you there at the lake on talking about July 3rd now?
I left there and I was there until she called me and asked when I was coming home. And I said, well, I haven't really decided yet, but wow, what's going on? And she said, well, the horses are out. I go, what do you mean the horses are out? She's like, your daddy left the gate open and they're out. And I was like, well, I guess I'll, be on my way as soon as I can. And that was, I want to say, somewhere around 10 o'clock-ish.
I said around 10:52 p.m. Would that be about right?
It could have been around that time. I know it was dark out.
So did she call you or you called her?
She called me.
And she called and what? She was talking about the horses being out?
She called me and asked, when are you going to be home? And I said, well, I haven't, I haven't really decided, but wow, what's going on?
And what did she say?
She said, the horses are out. You need to come home and get them up.
On July 3rd, you're at the house with your mom working, go to lunch, your dad's at the restaurant, but you don't remember whether or not he left or anything like that.
I'm like 99% sure my dad was still sitting there.
But whenever y'all departed, he was in a separate car, you were in a separate car, and your mom was in a separate car?
Yes, that is correct.
And you went from the restaurant to the lake?
Yes, sir.
And you were there all night until you came home?
Until she called me and said,
Go anywhere else?
No, sir.
And
we went out on the lake on the boat and did that, but I went to the lake house.
About 10:52, you said you got a call from your mom about the horses. Did she ask you to come home or anything?
She asked, when are you coming home?
She asked when you're coming home.
Yes.
All right, that call's around 10:52 p.m. And you talked to law enforcement after all this happened, told them your timeline, things like that, right?
Yes.
And I think they were able to take photographs of your phone. Did you show your time calls and things to the law enforcement? Do you remember?
I remember I gave them my phone.
Okay. And then about 11:34 p.m. or so, did you get back to your house?
Yeah, it was from the lake house, which is up in Dawsonville, to the farm. That was about, anywhere from 35-minute to 45-minute drive.
And we got back at, say, around 11:34 p.m. Did you talk to your mom?
So I came in and, I turned up towards the barn. And once I came onto the property, I see the horses in the pasture. And I pull in and I pull up and I see the fire burning up behind the house where the burn pile always was. So I go, I pull up there to the barn. I try calling her, Melody, and she did not answer. So I went around and checked on all the other animals, make sure the chicken coop was, the door was shut and, the goats were good and everything. And I went upstairs to my apartment and then she finally called me back. And when she called me back, I said, what the hell? I think she said the horses were out. And she's like, well, I'll put them up. I was able to get them and put them up.
Do you remember saying anything to her about your dad deciding to burn the fire or anything like that?
Yeah. So, after, she told me she put them up. I said to her, so I guess Daddy decided to burn that pile of wood, the burn pile. And she was like, yeah. I go, well, somebody needs to pay attention to it throughout the night so it doesn't spread. And then I said, I'm waking up very early in the morning to go play golf. And I'm going to come over and get the debit card to get some cash out. And
So
she's like,
if you talk to your mom around 11:34 p.m. on the phone, what time did you go to bed?
it was pretty shortly after that because I was pretty exhausted from being out in the sun all day.
All right, the next morning, July 4th. What time did you go and get the ATM card from your mom?
Very early in the morning. Because I want to say we either had a 7:30 or 8:30 tea time. So, the sun just rose by the time I got over there.
Did you go up to the house?
Yes, I drove over to the house.
Did you call your mom to come to the door? How'd you get her to the door?
So, the night before, I told her I was going to play golf, and in the morning I was going to come over and get the debit card. And she said, well, just call me and let me know when you come over. And I was like, okay.
Did you ask her to leave the doors open, unlocked or anything?
No, because the house wasn't ever really locked up.
If she said anything about she was going to lock the doors or not lock the doors?
I do not remember anything of that.
Fair enough. When you do you know if it was about 6:15 or so when you went to go get the ATM?
Yes, it was like I said, very early in the morning. So it had been around that time. And I sent, I called her as I'm getting in the truck and say, hey, I'm coming over. And she met me at the front door and handed me the debit card. And
Did you go inside?
No, I never went inside.
Did you go get something out of the refrigerator, a drink or anything?
No, I literally walked.
You didn't go get a power drink or energy drink or anything like that?
No, I did not.
Did she let you in?
I never went into the house. She literally met me at the front door and handed me the
He's
debit
sick
card.
of him.
Did you run down the road, get some cash, and come back?
Yeah, I ran down to, right there at Free Home, Publix. There's a Wells Fargo bank right there. So I grabbed.
If your tea time was around 7 or 7:30, would that be fair to say?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, it was either 7:30 or 8:30 tea time.
And who were you playing golf with?
I was playing with my friends Ted and Philip.
Would y'all do this on the 4th of July? Is this something y'all would do?
We try to make it a tradition, but yes, this would have been our second 4th of July round of golf.
And after you played golf, did you go somewhere?
We left from the golf course and went back to the lake house.
And how long were you at the lake?
So we finished golf and then we went there, and we only went out on the boat for a few hours. I know we were back.
Did you go to a pool party afterwards?
So we got back and Ted and I went to our friend's apartment complex. She lived in Cumming, and we went to the pool party that she was having there. And I stayed there not long. I'd probably say like a couple hours.
And about what time did you go home that night?
I was home before it got dark. So it was.
Did you go home to feed the animals?
Yes.
All right. So on July 4th, start off, get that ATM money, go play golf, go to the lake, pool, and then you go home around whatever time before dark. Do you remember what time that would have been?
That, like I said, it probably would have been 6, 7 o'clock roughly. It was still daylight outside.
Is anybody confused by these times that he given? Because the friend, I could have sworn that Mr. Samples, was his name Samples or something like that, his friend, I could have sworn he got on the stand yesterday almost I'm pretty sure not almost, as an alibi witness. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought they was like literally asking him, well, did he ever leave? And then the guy say, no, he never left. And now it seems like this. Now Scott's saying something totally different. To let Scott tell it, he was going back and forth from the farm to the lake house. And if it was so easy to do, how can that rule out Scott as being the possible shooter? If he came there at nighttime, the daddy started the fire late. He started fire, tells the mom, well, make sure y'all watch it. He could have pretended to leave. He could have drove up that mile-long road, chilled out somewhere, took a little nap, wait till everybody sleep, and double back. He did it. He did it.
And that time of the year, the sun would have gone down about 9-ish.
When you got home, did you have a conversation with your mom about the goats being out or anything?
So when I get home, I see all the goats out in the front pasture, or the pond pasture is what we called it. I get them, I grab their feed and I call them and they all come running. I take care of everybody. Then I ride over to the house. By this time, it's already dark out. I ride over to the house and, I walk in and I go back to the master bedroom and Melody's laying in bed with the dogs. And I talked to her and I'm like, what the hell was it? Why are the goats out? And she's like, well, your daddy let them out. I was like, okay, well, why didn't...
That's what she said?
Yeah. She said, your daddy let them out. I was like, okay, well, why didn't y'all put them back up? I was like, you're going to have to start doing this because I'm going to, start my new career at some point. So you're going to have to learn how to take care of these animals. And then I proceeded I turned around and we talked about something else. I can't remember, but I do remember her telling her that. And I turned right around and went right back out and got in my truck and went back up to my apartment.
On July 3rd, did you see the fire burning?
Yes, I did. When I came home that night, when I pulled up to the barn, I could see off behind the house that the fire was burning.
On July 4th, did you see the fire burning?
I do not remember it burning.
Judge, may we approach real quickly?
But living, that man almost got plumber butt back there. But I know I'm stuck on this idea, right? But when that man testified yesterday, his alibi, it sounded like then, because we was talking about it as an alibi witness, right? It really sounded like he was insinuating like they had played golf, did some type of party thing. Couldn't remember they had a drink or not, and Scott never left.
It was July 5th.
And now this is so different. What he's saying now is so to the contrary of what that other dude said. And even though they outside the courthouse while each other testifying, damn. I can't believe they so far off in what they said. Because the lawyer asked, did you ever go? Did you ever leave? Did he ever leave? No. It's crazy. That's why it's confusing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break for the evening again.
All right, let's get to day 5 on the trial time.
The lawyers, the parties, the places.
No, we're going to talk about it, honey. Let me see. His friend said he went at 7 till 11, 4 hours to play golf. Right. And then I thought they were supposed to went back to the lake house. But it was from the 3rd, the 4th. Yeah, because the friend said kind of like they was there from the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. Because I remember taking a note saying they gave him an alibi for that whole time. Baby, everybody lying. I just say throw the whole town away. Okay, let me get to the next deal here. One moment. I'm going to go on mute real quick so I can get it done. Okay, y'all. So that's what I was just about to say. So it looks like, let me put it up here. It looks like when I kind of redballed it, it looks like it might be like a 45 minutes, like to get us through to. Oh, it's gonna be two. It's gonna be 2 hours now. It looks like tomorrow it's gonna be the first hour. Is gonna be finishing off the prosecution, the direct examination, and then the last hour is going to be the defense. Let me see. Cause see, let me see. Yeah, because right about here. Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. The first hour gonna be finishing up the prosecution, and then the second hour gonna be getting into the cross examination. Let me see, and I think it's a sister after that. Let me see. Ooh, they keep him on the stand the whole time. Child, I'm trying to get to Rusty. Now, let me tell y'all this. Baby, I took my hair off. But let me show y'all. Now I can tell that my makeup is cute. And it matched so good. So we will be here on tomorrow, and my honey got to go out of town this weekend. So that means Friday I won't be taking the day off. I'm gonna be on here Friday, and stuff like that. So we're gonna have a good week. The rest of the week we're gonna keep on pushing through. Come back tonight, get back on Scott. Okay, I really like it. At first I ain't gonna lie, I was like, I was kind of disappointed because I was just like, I look the same, right? But it's not like I'm gonna look dramatically different. When I put on my makeup, I do all the makeup, right? So it's not like I'm gonna be like dramatically different. I actually do all of the makeup when I'm doing it. So it's really just about a better makeup, and it does look way better. My skin looks way better. Everything. Yeah, it makes it look better, And one thing that she showed me how to do that I didn't know how to do was my like right here at the corner of my eyes. She actually used instead of a liner, and instead of starting from the inside and going all the way like I would have done, she just used the black eyeshadow and did like the little cat corner with the eyeshadow just right there. And I was like, oh, okay, I never do that. I always start from over here and it looked a little harder. And just doing right here at the corner made it look a little bit softer. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try that. And she told me about one other thing that I kind of a little tip there for me was I do the highlighting and contouring and everything, but then I always go back over it with my makeup, my big brush with my pressed powder, right? Or a loose powder, right? And that's how I finish my makeup. But she was like, well, if you're taking all that time to highlight and contour your face, when you go back over it with the pressed powder or the loose powder, you bring it down the highlighting stuff. And I was like, makes sense. So I can't wait till I get my makeup in because I had to order it because they didn't have a foundation in my color. I can't wait till I get it in and I can play with it myself and do. Be excited. So I just really wanted to tell y'all too. We're gonna come back in the morning tomorrow. Meet us here in the jury box for the Forgetful Granny. And I hope y'all not looking at the Ponzi wife trial. But I feel like the Ponzi wife trial is going to be another good one. Because just from the opening statements, I was like, oh my God, this story has everything. Sex, money, drugs, insulin, mega million stolen, so it's going to be good. I'm excited. And then we also gonna come back. That's tomorrow is Thursday, right? We're gonna do that tomorrow. And then Friday, I want to go back and look at some new information we got on Naziah Harris. Those links that you sent, and now a lot of people doing content on Naziah Harris. So more and more stuff coming out. So that's what we're gonna do on Friday, okay? So we always got a plan, you guys. You guys have a great night, and I should see y'all on the morrow. Okay? Good night. Thank y'all for joining me.
Thanks for watching. Do not forget click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Like, comment and share. See you next time.